So GPT-5 is finally here. And the launch? It was weird. Not the huge celebration we were all expecting, right? It was quiet. Almost too quiet. So today, we're going to dig in. We're going to pull back the curtain and figure out what's really going on with OpenAI. Let's get into it. And look, the reactions online? They just nailed the whole bizarre vibe. This one user on X, they put it perfectly. This launch felt like attending a funeral hosted by minimalists. And that's exactly it. You've got this huge, supposedly magical breakthrough, but the tone was just flat. It really makes you wonder, what exactly were they mourning?
And if you need one image to sum up just how strange this all was, look at this chart. This is a recreation of their performance graph, and I'm not kidding, it became an instant meme. Just look at it. The bars don't even line up with the numbers. It's almost deliberately confusing. This right here is Exhibit A for why everyone was just left scratching their head.
Okay, so the presentation was a bit of a mess. Maybe the numbers, the actual benchmarks, can tell us the real story here. Let's see if we could decode what's going on. Right off the bat, OpenAI's strategy with the benchmarks was, well, it was curious. Every other big lab, they go head-to-head with their rivals. But OpenAI? Nope. They only compare GPT-5 to their own older models. They just left Anthropic's Claude and Google's Gemini completely off the chart. It really felt like they were ducking a fight, which just made the whole thing even more confusing.
But here's where the plot thickens. When independent groups like Artificial Analysis got their hands on it, a totally different picture emerged. It turns out GPT-5 is a top-tier model. In fact, it's a beast. It's edging out competitors like Grok 4 in their tests. It's right there at the top, or very near it, on basically everything that matters. MMLU, long context reasoning, you name it.
So that just makes the mystery even deeper, right? If the model is objectively one of the best out there, why the weird low-key launch? Why would you hide that kind of power? It's clear the benchmarks aren't the main event here. So what was this launch really about?
Well, the answer starts to click into place when you look at what OpenAI actually spent their time talking about. Forget general AI for a second. This presentation had one single, overwhelming focus.
And I mean focused. They spent over half an hour talking about just one thing: coding. Yeah, they mentioned other stuff like health and writing, but those were just footnotes. The real message, the loud and clear message, was that in the world of AI right now, one thing matters more than anything else: coding.
But here's the crazy part. Even on coding, the experts were totally split. You had guys like Dan Schipper saying, you know what, this feels like a step backward, especially compared to the complex stuff you can do with Anthropic's Claude. But then you had other experts, like Matthew Berman, who threw the kitchen sink at it and came back saying, nope, spoiler alert, it's a coding master. So who's right? Is it a step back or is it a master? Okay, to figure this out, we have to look past the simple benchmarks. We need a totally new way to think about AI intelligence. And thankfully, one reviewer came up with a really fascinating theory that helps it all make sense.
Yeah, Ben Hylock over at Latent Space, he framed this whole thing with an incredible idea. He said the real breakthrough here isn't just about more raw intelligence. It's about something way more fundamental, something that literally changed the course of human history. He calls it tool thinking. And the theory is simple, but powerful. Think about it. Our intelligence as humans really took off when we started making and using tools, right? The Stone Age. Hillock argues that GPT-5 is the start of the Stone Age for AI. And here's the key. It's not just using tools like a robot following a script. It's thinking with them. It's reasoning and iterating with tools to solve really hard problems. Let me give you a concrete example. There was this super gnarly bug that completely stumped other top models, even the powerful Claude Opus from Anthropic. GPT-5? It fixed it in one shot. And how it did it is the amazing part. It ran multiple tools at the same time to investigate. It found the core conflict, and then it paused. It actually stopped to think about what was broken before it did anything, and then it just methodically fixed the code. It was literally thinking its way to the answer. So, okay, tool thinking sounds cool, but what does it actually mean for us in the real world? Well, It signals a massive, dramatic shift in how software gets made.
Get this. This number is just staggering. A reviewer, Matt Schumer, he was pretty underwhelmed by GPT-5 at first. But then, just for kicks, he gave it the specs for a really complex product idea. His team of engineers had estimated it would take months just to build a basic prototype. You know how long it took GPT-5? 1 hour. In 1 hour, it had a fully working prototype. That isn't just a small step up. That's a fundamental change in the game.
And this quote from Felix at Lovable really brings it all home. He says, "Look, GPT-4 was for build me a simple to-do app. GPT-5 is build me an entire software business with user logins, payments, and an admin panel." You see the difference? The goal isn't just to help coders anymore. It's about getting to a point where you might not need to be a traditional coder at all.
And here's the final piece of the puzzle, the price. OpenAI isn't just coming for the performance crown. They are starting a price war. They priced GPT-5 to match Google's Gemini, which was the cheapest option out there. And get this, it's about 10 times cheaper than Anthropolog's Claude. So even if you're a developer who loves Claude, how do you justify paying 10 times more? That's a tough sell.
So let's put it all together. The real takeaway from this weird launch is this. That quiet confidence, it wasn't about hiding a weakness. It was about signaling a huge strategic bet. OpenAI is raising the bar for what you can build just by describing it, what some people call vibe coding. We're not talking about simple little apps anymore. We're talking about building real, complex, technical software. They're making a massive bet on a future where almost anyone can create with code.
And that's the thing. This launch, it wasn't really for the people who live and die by benchmarks. It wasn't even for today's expert coders. It was for the next generation of builders. This is a fundamental shift. It blows the doors wide open on who gets to create things with code. So the real question, the one that matters now, is for you. With this kind of power becoming available to so many more people, what will you create?